Hello, this is the Just Because Buzz, Thread Tales number 23. Welcome. My name is Merritt Crawford, and it's been a little while. So I just want to tell you thank you for stopping by. If you're a subscriber, I really appreciate you coming by and visiting with me again. If you're new here, this is a floss tube about cross stitch, quilting, wool applique, needle turn applique, just anything with needle and thread I enjoy. So welcome. Thank you for coming. I want to say thank you, especially to my subscribers. I have over 600, and that's been really a blessing to me to see. And I will do a special subscriber giveaway at the end, so stay tuned. Little life update. Thank you so much for those of you that have reached out and asked if I was okay, and I've been okay. Just quite busy. Back in February, I was having some dental issues. That's the last time I've filmed. But in March, I was able to get that taken care of, and so thankful. And then my oldest daughter became engaged, and she and her fiance are getting married in December. So we're planning a wedding. We got to celebrate them in Lexington back in May, so that was quite fun. And then my other daughter and I, Katie, went to Louisiana to visit family with my mom and dad. We did a little road trip with them, and that was fun. And got to go back to my home state, and that was truly a blessing. And a bonus of that was I got to meet Rachel with Rachel Q Stitches from Lafayette, and that was just a sweet, sweet time of visiting with her and just talking stitching and sitting outside and having a po' boy, and it was really fun. And then I do have another trip planned to Alabama next week with my daughter Katie. We're going down to look at wedding venue and help Jessica with some planning. And then my good friend Louise, she's got a daughter getting married the end of that week. So we're real excited about that and get to attend that wedding, and just a lot of good things going on. And I'm also working a little more. I'm helping with some maternity leave coverage of some of our other dietitians. So just have added a few more hours of work so that I can help out there. So all good things. Just thankful that I'm able to do it, and thankful that I was given the opportunity to do some of these little trips, and look forward to the year ahead. So I wanted to just talk about a little bit about my little news segment that I do at the beginning. So I've got a couple of sows, about 4 that I was working on. Some I've done okay with, some not as much, but that's okay. So Kim at the Contented Stitcher, Kim Goldman on Instagram, she and I started the Blackbird Design Christmas Stocking Sow out of the Home for the Holidays book. And we had great plans to stitch one a month, and there are 5, and we would have them done by the end of May, and then we could focus the rest of the year prior to December getting them fully finished into little stockings. And we've done okay, but we haven't stuck with the one a month, so I'll share my progress coming up. And then we also started a sow with a tiny treetops, which is out of the Sewing Club book of Blackbird Design. And I did that with Kim and Celeste from Celeste Creates, and April of April Heirlooms on Instagram. And we've all finished that stitch, and some of us have fully finished, some of us have not, but I'll show that progress as well. Then on the first day of spring, my friend Kathleen over at Situation Normal, we started a sow last year called the Strawberry Pick'n Sow, and we just add the year and stitch anything with strawberries. And so we did that sow again this year, and so I'll be sharing that. And then finally, another sow that I'm doing is the Consider the Lilies, which is Stitch Lilies on Sunday. And I haven't posted a lot to that hashtag on Instagram, but I have managed to stitch on lilies every Sunday since the beginning of the year. And I've documented that with just different photos each Sunday night to show progress, mainly just for my own enjoyment. So I'll be sharing progress on that as well. So the next segment I like to do is sharing something that's an FFO that's from years past. I call it an old FFO. And sometimes it's my work, sometimes it's my mom or my grandmother's or even my mother-in-law. And this time it's going to be mine. It is a little stitch that I did, probably a Lizzie Kate, I'm not sure, but a little patriotic stitch, and I finished it in a little miniature wall quilt finish. It's got a little tiny hanging sleeve that I can put on my washstand downstairs. It has a dowel rod, so I can hang it that way. And it's just a sweet little stitch. So thought I would share that with you. I'm not positive it's Lizzie Kate, but it kind of looks like Lizzie Kate. And I don't have the pattern anymore. I'm not sure what I did with the pattern or even where I found it. So, okay, so now I'm going to share some FFOs, so fully finished objects that we like to call them in the stitching world. So the first one is conversation hearts. And this was just a little design. I found a heart design that I liked, and then I just decided to add the XOXO across the little hearts, and then finished it kind of like a 4-patch quilt design, and then put a vintage button in the center. And the button came from a button card, which I think was probably used by salesmen when they were showing buttons to different stores. They were on a card. And there's an antique store not too far from me that sells those button cards. So that was fun to use in this little pillow. And then on the back, I stitched the pillow all the way around and then cut a slit and stuffed it and then covered it with a fun yo-yo. And the conversation heart fabric came from Hobby Lobby. So that was fun to stitch. And then the next thing I'll show you are, I did show it on Instagram. These are some Advent pillows. I was watching Colleen over at Like a Bee Stitches, and she was doing a birthday sale of some of her charts for a fundraiser. And so I saw these and thought this would be really fun as an Advent to make the little pillows and then hang one each day leading up to Christmas Day. And so these are the charts. There's December 1 through 6. And so you can see the little motifs. Some of them have you add buttons to the side. There's 7 through 12, 13 through 18, and then 19 through 25. So I will show you those. So here's one. Two. Three. Four. 5. Little gingerbread, and that one has the buttons. 6. 7. There's 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. 14, 15, 16 for the little snowflake button, 17, 18, and I used the blue fabric, 19. I have a lot of this blue fabric. It was gifted to me by someone, a dear friend, and I'm just trying to use up, and I like how it turned out. The back is like a little vintage back. 20, 21, 22, rocking horse, 23, 24, Santa, and then 25 is a little different. I did the gold and white cording, and the cording that I made for all of these was using Vanna's tutorial. And then the back is just a little sweet small print. So those were a lot of fun to make, and it did take a little while to finish them all. The next is a design by JBW. It's called Winter in the Round, and I stitched this for excuse me, for the Colorado Cross Stitcher winter camp piece, and so decided to use that as my piece. She does tell you in the instructions about the finishing with the snowflake. I had purchased the snowflake from Hobby Lobby, just like she says on her instructions. And I used the Deep Blue Sea Classic Colorworks color, and I used the Belfast Linen Whisper. It's a 32 count that I got from Colorado Cross Stitcher. And this is my finished piece. So these are a lot of fun to make. Each little motif just starts to pop out at you as you stitch them. And, enjoy doing it very much. Judy's designs are always a fun design. And then the next one I want to show you is, this was an old Dale Burdett piece that I had stitched a long time ago. It's a train, and decided to go ahead and FFO it. And I used kind of a, I mounted it on a board with a pretty fabric as the design, as the background, and then used this trim all the way around to pull out the blue. And then I used an old vintage postcard as the back. And so I'll look forward to hanging this year, displaying it. Thought that turned out pretty. Okay, so the next thing is a pretty big deal. If you've been watching my channel for very long or from the beginning, you have seen me talk about this Mill Hill piece. And the piece I'm talking about came out of this pamphlet called Alphabet Treasures. And I have been stitching on this for about 20 years, 21 years. Picked it up, thinking I picked it up at the Finishing Touch in Louisville, Kentucky when I was living in Louisville. And started working on it, and decided to get it finally finished, and then fully finished. Had it framed at the craft gallery, and Paula did a great job. So I'm going to show this to you. So I've got it fully finished. So this is something that is heavily beaded. the letters are cross-stitched, and then there's a lot of beading on top of the letters. There's also what call treasures, and then the ceramic buttons. So I can get in closer. Like for instance, the T, there's an apple treasures, what they're considered apples, or the birdhouse ceramic button. You can see on the S, there's a ceramic button, and then those green leaves are what they call treasures. See the little moon. There's the strawberries. Some of the flowers are dimensional, where you stitch multiple beads on. You load your needle with multiple beads, and then you make a petal. So there is a lot of time, work into this, but I'm so pleased with how it turned out. Thank you, Miss Paula. She did a great job. Okay, so those were my FFOs. So pretty excited about all of those finishes. So now I'm going to move into my FOs. And since it's been a while since I've filmed, I do have quite a few FOs to share with you. So we'll just get right into it. The first one is going back to the Blackbird Design stockings. And so these all came from Home for the Holidays. And there are 5 stockings. And they're stitched with different reds. And they have different names, but for instance, this is number 1. And I have a red and white Christmas tree. My ornaments are red and white. And then, of course, the tree is green, but the decorations are red and white. So I went with a fabric that is white as the background and not the tan as they did. So mine looks a little bit different, but I will show you these. So the first one was done on a piece of fabric I already had. It's a 30 count. And there it is. So I will fully finish these into a stocking. And these are bigger than I kind of thought they were going to be. And it calls for 32 count espresso by R&R. So that's an example of what they used. And like I said, I was using a scrap of linen to try to use what's in my stash. But then I didn't have anything close. So I wound up ordering the next group of linens. So the next one is called Stocking 2 is My Heart is Home. And there's this one. And this one's on 32 count Belfast antique white linen. And then the next one is the gift basket. And it has some specialty stitches in it. It's very pretty. And there's that one. And then I am working on number 4. So number 4 is Holly and Ivy. And I haven't gotten a whole lot done on it, but I will show it to you. And you'll notice these threads are darker, with just a darker red thread. So those are the stockings. Working on those. Okay, so next I have Be Kind. And this was my friend Louise. She had picked a birthday start last year. We kind of do that with each other. And we had chosen a design out of the Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine. Let's see if I can get the magazine out to you. I think I have the right one. Let's see, I don't know if I do or not. I might not have the right magazine. Yeah, I do. Okay, so she had chosen this design for her birthday start. And it is by Teresa Miller and Teresa's Primitive Treasures. And this is the book from last year, summer 2021. All right, and this is my stitch piece. So I did a little bit of a different twist on mine. Used all the copper colors of the DMC, and on every other bud I did a red. I wanted a little more red in my sampler than just on the tulips. So in every other one I did the red. And these are the colors. They're DMC, like I said. Very enjoyable stitch. It's a 36 count mocha, I believe. I think that's right. I'm not positive. Oh, I've written it down. Light mocha. So this is Weigart based 36 count light mocha. So very fun. I want to get that one FFO'd. All right, and then what do we have? I did some letters by Brenda Keyes out of her book. I was just playing around with making some letters that I could put on little cupboard buttons. And so I had some scrap of a 36 count antique white linen. And what I did was I just stitched some of her letters. So I haven't made the buttons yet, but those are just some of the letters, just real quick. So I want to play around with that. And again, I was doing this around Valentine's Day, so that's why I decided to do the letters for love. Have those ready for next year. All right, then Tiny Treetops. And Tiny Treetops is in the book Sewing Club. And it is actually on the back. So that's Tiny Treetops. And I did mine on 36 count Brea by Linen and Flax. Rachel's fabric is very pretty. And there's my Tiny Treetops. It's kind of hard to say. But such an enjoyable stitch. So pretty. And I think I have a frame picked out that I'm going to try to frame it myself if I can. So really enjoyed it. I personalized it. Show you that again. I'm in a little group and we call ourselves the Saturday Stitchers. And so SS 2022. All right. And then Quaker House by Blackbird Design, also on Brea. This was a book that was loaned to me by a friend that lives locally. I'll show you the book, but it is out of print. With Needle and Thread by Blackbird Design. And the original I'm going to show you the original picture. The original picture looks like that. And then this is mine. I did a few color changes on this. The blue is Old Money, and I've used that before in a Blackbird Design. In fact, it was in my Winds of Autumn Mighty Acorn for the house. Had some of it left over and used it in this one too. So I did make some color changes. But I love how this turned out. It's such a cute stitch, and just love those fun colors. And again, this is on 36 count Brea, so needle and flax. All right. The next one is Life is Just. Now this one is just hot off the press. So let's look at it for a moment. And this is a Kathy Haberman hands-on design. I think you might be able to see it if I hold it up like this. I bought this last weekend when I was down at Craft Gallery. And it is so much fun to stitch. Oh, it's just adorable. So the pattern comes with the little charm. So I just have to find some red and white twine and decide what fabric I want to use for my pillow. I'm going to finish it the same way she did. So cute. Couldn't help but smile when you were stitching this. All right, the next one is something I stitched when I was down in Louisiana. It was a lot of fun to try to plan a stitch that I would kind of commemorate the trip with. So I decided to do a Statehood Splendor series, Louisiana, from Thread Milk. And I had a scrap of Ada that is hand dyed. I was gifted this by Liz and Deb over at Country Stitches, and I used this fabric. And what I chose for my thread is a Valdani 12, and the color is P1, so it's one of these. And I chose to use it. Get up close so you can see it. The variegation's really pretty. I grew up in Baton Rouge, which means red stick, so it was perfect. All right. So that was fun to stitch on my trip. Have a little something to put in a dough ball. I also stitched my first Plum Street, and I don't have it anymore because I gifted it, and I'll try to remember to post a picture if I can. But my first Plum Street pattern that I purchased and stitched was Corgi Caboodle. The aunt and uncle that we visit and stay at their home or stay on the property, there's a trailer that used to be my granddaddy's, and we all stay in the trailer when we come and visit them. Anyway, they have a Corgi, and I wanted to stitch them a little something, so I stitched this piece. And so I just smile when I think Plum Street has so many gorgeous patterns, and my first one to purchase was this one, and to stitch was this one. I thought that was cute. All right, and then Daughter of the King. This is a Little House Needleworks pattern, and you may have seen Celeste and Kim and April. We've stitched this, and this is on 40 count believe it's Sparrow by Luminous Fiber Arts. And I used the DMC conversion, the 926, 927, 930, or excuse me, 926, 927 for the blue, one of those, and then in the 730 range for the green, I did a white ecru, and then for the hazelnut or the crown, I did a 680. I tried stitching this in the car, and man, I was making mistakes. This was on our trip to Louisiana, so I had to finish this one when I got back home because it was just not going well in the car. And then a friend loaned me Chubby Bird from Jeanette Douglas. And I love how the Chubby Bird turned out. And again, this is Brea. And I think I have one little scrap piece of Brea left. I've enjoyed stitching on it. All right, and then Stitcher. This was a piece. I stitched the model for Misty at Luminous Fiber Arts. And then Rachel Q Stitches said, hey, would you stitch this with me on my birthday for my birthday star? I was like, sure. So this is the original. And I stitched mine on a vintage smoky white Belfast linen, a 32 count, and I used DMC 817. So I haven't added the buttons yet, but I'll add some vintage buttons and get it finished. All right. And then Old Glory. This little pattern I found at a thrift store not far from me, and it was actually free. And I just thought it was so cute, and I chose some of my own threads. I used Turkish Red for the red and Wavy Navy for the blue, and found a charm for it, a little star charm. And this is Long May She Wave. So I will probably finish this in a little pillow for the dough bowl. But really cute stitch. And quick. So that's kind of fun. And then the other day when I was on a call, I decided to stitch something that was somewhat easy to visit and talk. And so I chose, again, another book that's out of print but borrowed. I chose to do the stars and the blackbird design. This is A Stitcher's Journey. And I did some patriotic colors. So I haven't made it into the little pillow yet, but got my stars stitched. So I did Classic Colorworks Blue Corn and Classic Colorworks bandana for the red, and then gassed straw bonnet for the white. So I'll make a little pillow for that. Kind of vintagey looking and old looking. And using up those scraps of linen, I just can't throw them away. Can't do it. All right, and then my strawberry pick and sow piece, I decided to work on the pincushion from the Agnes Platt strawberry sampler. And so I've already stitched this piece, and now I've stitched this piece, and I'm trying to decide how I want to personalize it, because it has, in here it has Alma's name on there, and I'm not sure how I want to do it. My name's a lot longer. So I may do something to commemorate the strawberry picking part. And again, this is a piece of scrap linen. There's my piece. So I will have to decide how I'm going to finish it. I do want to do the little pincushion. I do like the beading around the edge. I like that a lot. So we'll just have to see. And I used Holly Berry for the red. So that was a fun stitch. I do have a lot of FFOing to do. Okay, so I think those are all the things that I have finished stitching. So now I'm going to show you my whips, and I'm going to kind of go fast because I don't want this to be too long, and it's already getting there. So the first one I'm going to show you is Consider the Lilies. And for you, if you haven't seen, this is the pattern, and it's a pretty big girl. I'm doing a combination of what's called for. I'm also doing some of my own colors. I wanted it to be a little bit brighter, so in some places, so some of my flowers are going to be a little bit brighter than what is called for. So these are lots of threads being used in this one. So this is my progress. Get it all. So I'm working my way around with the border and trying to stitch a lily here and there. Some of the lilies, that's where I've changed the colors the most. And then this top piece here, I brightened up those flowers. And I'll be repeating those same colors throughout so that it all kind of meshes and goes together. But I am enjoying it. It's a really pretty stitch. And a lot of people are stitching it. All right, so that's Consider the Lilies. And I made a stitchy needle roll, or not needle roll, but a roll that I can roll it up in to try to keep it clean, since it is such a big stitch and it doesn't really fit in a bag that well. So if I can keep it rolled, then maybe the wrinkles won't be so bad. All right, so Prairie Schooler Santa. And Louise, I have fallen off the wagon with the Prairie Schoolers, but I do still enjoy it. So let's see where I am on him. I am stitching. There's not much to show. That little tiny bit. Let's see which one this is. This is 1986. So working on him. And all I have is part of his sash. Not even the full sash, I don't think. And I was supposed to be doing one a month. And just other things got priority. So we'll keep working on it. Won't give up because I do like them. All right, sampler of the month, June. Where is my sampler of the month? There we go. So I've been working on these. A lot of people have stitched these as well. This is Country Cottage Needleworks. And the picture is tiny, but hopefully you can see that. It's a little blurry, looks like. And I am real close to finishing this one. Get the board back out. It's really cute. It's bright and cheery. So very close to finishing that one. I'm working on the top up here, and then I have to do some specialty stitches in here, but back stitching and things, but very close on that one. So then I can start July. And then what's next? Let's see. We're going to do Blackbird America. Let's see. So this is out of Souvenirs of Summer. And it is this piece right here. and I'm stitching it on a 46 count from Hobby Lobby, and I'm using a DMC red 304, I believe. So I'm not far from this one getting it completed. It's pretty close. I started it last year on July 4th, so I'm getting close. And it does have a mistake near the basket, and I just don't have the heart to rip it out, so it's gonna stay that way. Especially being on 46 count. I'm not gonna rip. Gonna move forward. And then I have a Blackbird design Frosty's Night Out that I'm stitching with Felicia, and she's the Ozark Mountain Stitcher. And I'm not sure where Felicia is on hers. We started stitching it back in the winter, and so now it's just a matter of getting it back out and finishing it. I'm stitching mine on what's called Endora. This is a needle and flax fabric that is a good substitute for murky if you don't have murky. So what I'm working on now is filling in with the snowflakes. He's got snowflakes all around and the moon. So that's all I need to do is finish that. So he's coming along. Just need to put some more love in there. And he's in one of my granny's. This was one of my granny's stitched pieces, and I made it into a project bag. So great way to save the stitches if you don't want to hang it on the wall anymore. Make it into a project bag. You can still enjoy it. Okay. So now I'm going to move to Summer Garden, and this one has been fun to stitch on again. This was something I started last year when I was doing my Maybe Mania, where I was stitching things with bees on it. And so this is a Country Cottage Needleworks design, and it's called Summer Garden. And I've made good progress on it. I've stitched quite a bit on it this spring. I forgot to pull this one out. This is one of the ones I forgot to pull out and iron. I ironed some of my other ones. So this is as wide as this piece is. I have borders across here and across here, and then I have fencing and more flowers to fill in here. It's such a sweet stitch. I really enjoyed it. All right. And then American Eagle is something I just started with my friend Celeste at Celeste Creates. And it is out of Sweet Land of Liberty. And it's this piece on the front. And I have really just gotten a start on it. I'm working on the border, and I've got that little star. So this is a real new start. And this is the call for fabric. This is Weeks. Confederate Gray, 32 count. Call for fabric. All right. And then the next one I have is Tetelestai. I kind of got into a startitis this spring, so lots of starts, and that's usually not my style, but kind of happy. So this is by Quaint Rose Needle Arts, and I started this on Good Friday, and I just barely have a start. And the thread that I'm using is a Sulky, and it's color 1147. Doesn't really want to focus. And I believe this is a light mocha 36 count. I don't know if I wrote that down or not. Let's see. 36 count light mocha is my fabric. And the sulky 12 weight red. Okay. And then I have a secret stitching that I'm doing right now, so I'll hold off on sharing that one. And then I have a Seasons of the Heart piece that I'm working on. This was my birthday start. And this is also out of that Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine that the Be Kind came out of. And this is Janine McGowan's Seasons of the Heart, this summer one. So, my start on it is the center flower. So, again, barely a start, but I did get started on it, and I'll get back to that too. My friend Louise, Wanda, she made this sweet bag for me that I'm housing it in. Isn't that fun? And she's also going to stitch this with me. And the fabric that I'm using is a 28 count Lakeside Mariners. I believe is the name of it. Mariners Compass, maybe? Okay. So that's all I'm going to show you as far as my stitching. Lots of good things going on. I've really been enjoying it. Kind of all over the place. Like I said, I kind of had startitis where I was starting lots and lots. So that's okay. I've really enjoyed it and gotten to just visit with a lot of good stitchy friends. So that's been fun. I do have haul, and I'm not going to show it all to you today. I had some things from Cross Stitch Market, and then I went on a shop hop with a friend, and so I'll show you a couple of things that I'm kind of excited about, and then some of the other things will just be incorporated into next shows as I finish things or work on things like that. So there's a fairly new shop close to me, and I went up there to visit and for my birthday, and so I decided to get one of her patterns. This is Ari TM, and this is one of her patterns, and I just loved all the little motifs, and it's called Circle of Flowers. So I purchased that. She's up in Monroe, Michigan. And then she had this sweet little pattern by Kathy Schmitz. I believe that's right. Yep. And it's a bee drum, and I just love that. So I bought this fabric and some dark chocolate to make that. And then, let's see, a fun quilt fabric or quilt pattern that I found by Villa Rosa Designs. This was on a shop hop, and I just thought this was such a fun quilt pattern. So I love patriotic, so I bought that. I mean, it was $2, and so purchased that. And I've gotten some other good stitchy things. My favorite market things were the Blackbird design, Humming of the Bees, and then My Heart Remembers book. And with a needle and thread, I bought the Seasons of, I don't know, hers called Seasons of the Heart. Yeah, I bought the Seasons of the Heart and Keeper of the Pins. So you've seen a lot of those, a lot of birthday gifts and a little spending cash. So I was able to enjoy those. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, as I was having my devotion, I was reading Psalms 40. So I'm going to share a verse out of Psalms 40 with you to end my video, and then we'll talk about the giveaway. So the verse that really stood out to me today was Psalms 40, verse 5. Many, O Lord my God, are the wonders which thou hast done, and thy thoughts toward us. There is none to compare with thee. If I would declare and speak of them, they would be too numerous to count. So thank you so much. My faith is very important to me, and my belief in Jesus as my Savior is just vital to my life. And I hope that this can be an encouragement to you, is that God is wonderful, and he does wonderful things for us, and he loves us so much. And it's beyond what we can even comprehend, that if we trust that, he will take care of us. So on the giveaway part, I have this little bee. And so since I'm so just because, or love bees, I have this little needle minder. And so I'm going to make another one just like her. And I will send it to one of my viewers who comments below. And you just need to use the word bee. So spell it B-E-E, like a bumblebee, but use the word B-E-E. And you can be entered, and I'll use my random comment picker that everybody uses to choose someone. And thank you so much for being a subscriber, and I hope you'll share my videos with someone else. Tell them about stopping over. I think I have a good variety of projects that I'm working on, and sometimes I throw in some quilting and wool applique too. So thank you again for stopping by, and I hope you have a great day. Bye now.